Good morning, everyone. Before I put on my leadership development hat, I have a message about parking. So, if you need to know how to access more than the 110 spaces available to First Unitarians on Sunday morning, please visit the information table right next to the opportunities table after service today. There's some maps there, and we'll give you a good explanation in the passes as well. All right. Now, I'm Tess Dieringer of the Leadership Development Committee. As you may have noticed, we are in high gear building the slate of candidates coming up to be voted on. These are for elected positions, voted on at our annual meeting on May 31st. I want to thank all of those, so many, that serve in the myriad capacities that make our community so vital, and thank the people that have already said that they will step up to serve on our slate. Today, I want to highlight the position of the opening we have for treasurer, and I want to thank Janet Kennedy for her service. Is Janet here? So, thank you, Janet. So, we have a flyer today, if you've seen it, and please refer to it. If you have any questions, please visit me at the opportunities table. But the treasurer serves as a non-voting officer of the Board of Trustees and is an essential member of a very comprehensive team that ensures our fiscal health. It supports all we do and all we strive to do. If you have experience in finance, accounting, and budgeting, please come and talk to me at the opportunities table or contact me on the information on the flyer. Margaret Fuller said, "If you have knowledge, let others light their candles at it." Bring your gifts to this important role and help light the way for our beloved community. Also, next Sunday, join us for leadership development training in the Rose Chapel on effective leadership roles in groups from noon to 1:30, refreshments provided. Thank you. Arnie?
Morning, y'all. I'm Arnie from the Middle East Justice Project, and I'm just short announcement. We're going to be sponsoring the vigil out of GEO Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. The vigil's been going on weekly for almost a year now. And we're going to be highlighting the connections between justice for Palestine and justice for immigration justice. So Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. I'm John Reimers, and I serve on the Leadership Development Committee with Tess, as well as I'm also a stewardship ambassador. And today, before we really get into the service, I wanted to tell you my stewardship story. I moved to Denver in 1971 at the ripe age of 23. Looking back at that time, I considered myself a lost soul. I had no career in mind, had given up on church. I was raised in the Congregational Church, and generally had little direction in my life. I did start my career in mental health, but for a long time I was turned off to any kind of church experience. The extent of my involvement was to go to church at Christmas because I liked the music. That was the extent of my church going for the next 20 years. All of that changed in 1991 when I visited my sister in Cincinnati for Christmas. She and her husband attended a UU church and invited me to attend the Christmas Eve service. Attending that service changed my life. Looking back, I truly believe that I experienced a spiritual awakening. I came away from that service determined and excited to learn about Unitarian churches in Denver. I spent the next year attending different UU churches, specifically Jefferson, First Universalist, and FUSD. I finally decided I liked this church the most because it was an inner city church, had more diversity than the other churches, and I like Capitol Hill because that's where I spent my first few years when I moved to Denver. I became a member of FUSD in 1993. Clearly, I have found my spiritual home. Coming to church most weeks allows me to get centered for the week, see my friends, and hear positive messages about community and our connections to one another. Over time, that spiritual connection was enhanced by my participation in committees and social events here. When I was getting what I needed, giving financially came more easily. You've learned a lot, you've heard a lot about stewardship these past few weeks. And to me, stewardship involves giving money, but it also involves giving of yourself. Investing your time and what you can afford keeps this place going and can help you build a stronger connection and commitment to our spiritual home. So, when you are considering a pledge or placing some money in the basket, please be generous as you are feeding the church, but you're also feeding your soul. Over the past year, many others have found their spiritual home here at First Unitarian. Due to our growing Sunday attendance, we will be transitioning to 2 services each Sunday, beginning with the Easter service on April 5th. Starting that Sunday, our services will be at 9:15 and 11 a.m. Children's religious exploration classes will only take place during the 9:15 hour, but we will have coffee hour following both services. Can't do without coffee hour, right? So, more detailed information on the 2 services, Sunday plans, see your order of service or the first announce. Today, we are delighted to welcome to our sanctuary the Denver Children's Choir. The Children's Choir will be offering some of the music during today's service. Our offering today will also be donated to the Children's Choir as part of our Giving in Action program. After the service concludes, we hope you will join us in the community room for coffee and conversation. If you are a newcomer, we invite you to visit the information table as you exit into the community room. We'd love to get to know you and answer any questions you might have. If you're looking for ways to engage with our community and support the work of our congregation, please visit the Opportunities table. It's way at the back of the community room after the service. So, now please remember to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. Welcome to worship, and at this time, please take a moment to greet the people around you.
Whoever you are, wherever you are welcome here. Would you please join us in singing our song of welcome? We are many, we are one. The light of the world is within you. Sacred and worthy is your soul. A place has been made for you. Welcome.
All right.
Well, welcome indeed. Good morning to those of you who I don't yet know. I am Eric Banner. It's my privilege and honor to be with you here this morning, the nearest congregation to my home and the one that I will walk home to from after service today. It is good to be in Denver. I am serving as the senior minister at First Universalist, the other first U in town. Down in Colorado and Hampton, and it is good to be here. It is good to be with you all this morning. I am always telling people that every single one of our congregations is better together, stronger when we have and share our resources. I was just talking with Leslie before service about the partnership between our RE programs and the way that folks are working together. And I just want to say I'm so glad you're here, and if you're ever on the south side of town, if you're ever down at Colorado and Hampton, well, you're welcome to join us there too. With all of the welcomes out of the way, I wanted to open up this service with a reading from a woman who I first met when she was serving as president of Star King School for the Ministry. She's since retired. Her name is Rebecca Parker, and she served as president when I was a student there. And she said years ago, your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. She said, the mind's power, the strength of hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, and waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up the wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, offer love. And any of these, she said, can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question: what will you do with your gifts? The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It's an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude, to search for the source of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community. The endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us, she says, alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting. Come, let us light our chalice and enter our time of worship.
Moments. If I told you I you, darling? Would you linger a while today? If I hold you and hug you like kisses will bug you, the ghosts you won't never desert. And someday you'll find us where people won't bind us to the hands of time. I can use more than moments, pretty baby, and I know where you steal them from. There are so many things I'll teach you, and they call me a useless bum. They just chatter and clatter and patter and natter. They titter and twitter, their glitter gets bitter. But we're here, I steered here, it's weird, hear those beers to watch the pantomime.
Dun 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 dun
shield you, darling. Would you linger a while today? If I hold you and hug you like kisses will bug you, the ghosts will hurt you, I'll never desert. And someday you'll find us where people will bind us to the hands of time. I can use more than moments, pretty baby, and I know where you steal them from. There are so many things I'll teach you, and they call me a useless bum. They just chatter and clatter and patter and natter. They titter and twitter, their glitter gets bitter. But we're here, I steered here, it's weird, hear those beers to watch the pantomime. We'll watch the pantomime. Bye.
All right, thank you. That was so beautiful. Where are my friends? Come on down. I want to sing now. Come on down. Thank you. That was so beautiful. And something I do every day, every Sunday, is bring the young friends up. But we have some older friends who might kind of remember what it's like to be read to in an elementary school classroom. That's kind of what we do now. Time for all ages. Come on down. Okay, so I have a book today. I haven't done this in a while. I'm going to scoot over here so you can see better. Quick plug, we are looking for donations. If you need a visual for what those donations are, they're on the table, the check-in table for families. You'll also see it in First Announce. So that is something we're going to be doing a service project on Easter Sunday. All right, my friends, are you ready? You want to sit down, Ren? You can sit. That's okay. So today the grown-ups are going to hear a powerful story about grace and forgiveness. Those are big words that mean love, being kind and loving even when things are hard. Have you ever heard of the singer and songwriter Dolly Parton? Oh, I see a head nod. I bet some of our singers know Dolly Parton. Well, she wrote more than, wait for it, 3,000 songs in her lifetime. Yeah, that's right. That's a lot. And one of her most famous songs is called The Coat of Many Colors. So the book we're going to read today is that song turned into a story with illustrations. And Dolly says that this story is true. It really happened when she was a little girl. And out of all those 3,000 songs she wrote, this one is her favorite. So if you haven't heard it, even big kids, I recommend listening to it. Yeah, I bet. I hadn't heard of it. I had to look it up. It's a really beautiful song. So have you ever been really proud of something? Maybe a picture you drew, or Legos creation that you built, or a really cool outfit you are excited to wear to school. And you were excited to show your friends? Well, when Dolly was a little girl, she had something she was very proud of, and she couldn't wait to show her friends. And this is the true story of what happened next. So I have pictures for my older congregants to watch too, because sometimes you want to see the pictures too. Back through the years, I go wandering once again, back to the seasons of my youth. I recall a box of rags that someone gave us, and how my mama put the rags to use. There were rags of many colors, but every piece was small, and I didn't have a coat, and it was way down in the fall. What do you think she did with those rags? Mama sewed those rags together, sewing every piece with love. She made my coat of many colors that I was so proud of. And as she sewed, she told a story from the Bible she had read about a coat of many colors Joseph wore. And then she said, I hope this coat will bring you good luck and happiness, and I just couldn't wait to wear it. And Mama blessed it with a kiss. My coat of many colors that my mama made for me, made only from rags, but I wore it so proudly. Although we had no money, I was rich as I could be in my coat of many colors my mama made for me. You see her here? She's already singing into a microphone. I bet even at a young age she knew she was going to be a singer and a star. So with patches on my breeches, do you know what breeches are? Breeches. I'm from the South, so I know what breeches are. People would say, you're too big for your breeches. It means your pants. So with patches on my breeches and holes in my shoes, in my coat of many colors, I hurried off to school. Here she is. She's proud. She's excited. Can't wait to show it off. Just to find the others laughing and making fun of me and my coat of many colors my mama made for me. How does she feel right now? Yeah, you can tell, maybe embarrassed, sad. And oh, I couldn't understand it, for I felt I was rich. And I told them of the love my mama sewed in every stitch. And I told them all the story Mama told me while she sewed, and how my coat of many colors was worth more than all their clothes. But they didn't understand it, and I tried to make them see that one is only poor only if they choose to be. Now I know we had no money, but I was rich as I could be in my coat of many colors my mama made for me. Made just for me. If you have not heard the song, I encourage you to give it a listen. It's much better than hearing me read the story. All right, my friends, are you ready to go to class? We're going to work on some care kits for people experiencing homelessness, so we're going to do some coloring today if you're ready for that. All right. Are we ready?
Would you rise in body and or spirit and join us in singing our first hymn of the day, Amazing Grace.
Good morning, everybody. I am so lucky and so glad to introduce the Denver Children's Choir. It is an organization that I've been working with for 14 years. I know. I work with them, and I've been bringing their program into every school I've worked at because I know how much they care about children. And they make sure every child who loves to sing has an opportunity to do so in a supported way, in a fun way, and makes music and singing so much fun for all kids. Really good music, as you heard. So I usually work with the younger kids. I've been working with the younger kids, but a bunch of the kids here, lots of them. Raise your hand if I worked with you in the past. So a lot of these kids, when they were little, I worked with them. And I have kids from Beach Court, where, you supported me with them, who are still singing, and they've been singing all these years. And it's so wonderful to see them love music and keep growing. But I could go on and on about how wonderful this organization is, but I'm really just here to introduce this program. So I'll have Eric Lentz here. He's our executive director, and he's going to tell you more about our program.
Thank you, Charlotte, Charlotte, Charlotte. We love you. Thank you for sharing Charlotte with us. And that's really all I have to say. If you know Charlotte, you know us. We want to thank you also for your generosity of spirit, for having us back, even on my least favorite day of the year. I am a morning person. All of you evening people have just stolen an hour from me, including my wife, who is also an evening person and was just head over heels that she gets an extra hour of the day. Charlotte summed it up, really. The Denver Children's Choir, you'd be surprised to know, music is not at the heart of our mission. Music is our what? And music excellence is what we're dedicated to. And you've already met our artistic director emerita, who's been doing this for almost 30 years. And you'll meet our artistic director, Travis, who just took over the helm this past year. It's not that music excellence isn't important. It's not our why. Our why is giving youth a safe place to be, a place to belong. Bringing youth together from all over Denver. We have over 15 locations throughout the city, and we meet them where they are with music that really approaches who they want to be. And we use that music to bring them together. And very similar to First Unitarian, our values are what's critical to what and how and why we do this. Our values are joy. We do what we do with joy. We are focused on equity, diversity, and inclusion, which for some reason in the past year has become a touch point, a hot point. So we've doubled down. We proudly wear that on our hearts, on our blazers, on our sweaters, and in who we are and what we do. So thank you for sharing your morning with us. Thank you also in advance for your generosity. What you are supporting today will help us bring this mission to more youth in Denver. We've never turned a child away because they couldn't afford it. We have free programs, we have low-cost programs, and every penny helps bring more kids into this wonderful mission. So thank you. We look forward to singing more for you, and we look forward to talking to you after the service.
So as Eric said, yes, please give generously. This is a wonderful, wonderful program. Thank you.
As the baskets come forward and we receive these offerings, we give thanks. I suspect, like myself, many of you recently received your most recent copy of the magazine of the American Civil Liberties Union, the defenders of freedom of speech and religion and all of our other civil rights in America for many decades. Colorado was profiled in that magazine. And part of the work that they are doing is making sure that the arts continue to get the support that they need. In a time when the National Education Association, the National Endowment for the Arts, when the national organizations that support civic life in America are under attack each and every week, this congregation keeps making good trouble, as Congressman Conyers once put it. And so these gifts come in and they go right out. Because what is the world without heart? What is the world without song and music sung in our churches, in our homes, in our communities? We give thanks for these gifts and are grateful to pass them on. And so we come to a time for pastoral joys and sorrows. I was talking with Michael DeSantis this morning, checking in and seeing what joys and sorrows were on the hearts of this gathered community. We hold, of course, always those who are living in fear in this very moment, victims of violence far beyond their control, and which are impacted by the nation we call home. The people in Iran who worry about whether they will make it to another day. The people in Palestine, bombed and struck by forces that we have funded. We extend our care to those in the other war-torn places of the world, like Ukraine, who keep fighting for their freedom and their independence. But I also carry with me a joy to me, but a sorrow that is coming. And it will be known to almost none of you that this congregation and the congregation that I serve have held ties together for many decades. And for those of you who have been part of this congregation for more than 50 years, I share with you the news from First Universalist that one time First Unitarian Board President Bill Hendy, who was here when Dick Henry served as this church, and who tells me who he had to go and bail his Dick Henry's wife out of jail for her Vietnam protests more than once. Bill Hendy moved back to Denver a few years ago and has been part of First Universalist, and he is now approaching his final days. And so if you are one of the people who knew the Hendy family when they were part of First Unitarian so many decades ago, I hope you'll let me know and let me extend your cares and condolences to them as they come to this transition. Our congregations are tied together in many rich and powerful ways, and for them all we give our thanks and praise. I invite you into a moment of centering with a reading from Jan Richardson. Bring your sorrow, bring your grief, bring your fear. Bring your weariness, your pain, your disgust at how broken the world is, how fractured, how fragmented by its fighting, its wars, its hungers, its penchant for power, its ceaseless repetition of the history it refuses to rise above. I will not tell you this blessing will fix all of that, but in the place where you have gathered, wait, watch, listen. Lay aside your inability to be surprised, your resistance to what you do not understand. See then whether this blessing turns to flame on your tongue, sets you to speaking what you cannot fathom, or opens your ear to a language beyond your imagining. That sometimes comes as a knowing in your bones, a clarity in your heart that tells you this is the reason we were made. For this ache that finally opens us, for this struggle, for this grace that scorches us toward one another and into the blazing day.
Mysterium et admirabile sacramentum. O magnum mysterium et admirabile sacramentum. Admirabile sacramentum ut animalia viderunt Dominum iacentem in praesepio.
I think if Mike were here, he'd invite you to stretch at this moment. If you need to, shake out all of the religious language that you weren't sure you came to church to hear this morning. Let me start this with just a quick question. What does grace mean? Not in the dictionary, not at your local evangelical megachurch, not somewhere else. Here, for us as Unitarian Universalists. It's a question that is one I love and is related to my own story. I grew up in a very humanist Unitarian Universalist fellowship. I went to seminary at least in part because I needed language I didn't have, and I wanted to know what we thought and what we believed. But that question about grace in 4 short words gets at the heart of not only Unitarian Universalist theology, but the way that the world is filled with unity and diversity, unity that makes us one. Because that one little word, just 5 letters long, is so big and so expansive that it could be a month of Sundays, and it is why, though I knew it is not the favorite song in almost any UU congregation, I thought we might sing Amazing Grace this morning. It is perhaps America's best known religious song. Our spiritual national anthem, it's been called. It has been sung in the smallest and most humble of churches. And some of you, with me, will remember when our then president, Barack Obama, stood up to sing it at the memorial service for the victims of the shooting at Mother Emanuel AME Church a decade ago. If you know not another single hymn, another church song, or even part of one, you recognize that one. It's a song that was written by an English clergyman, a one-time slave trader turned abolitionist more than 2 centuries ago, and I dare say you probably could not find a church hymnal anywhere in America that didn't include it. Though as far as I know, and we didn't include it on the screen, but if you were to pull out that gray hymnal of ours, it is the only version of the song that I know that presents you with the choice of which lyrics to sing in the middle of it. Some of you know this. There is a little asterisk, and you can choose your own hymnal adventure by singing either Wretch or Soul. It's a question for another day. The morning brings us to a different answer to that question. And it's a question I think many of us share, right? Why would we sing a song like that? And kind of about what other people mean when they say grace. But it's also kind of a question of whether there is a place for grace in our congregations, in Unitarian Universalism writ large, in our spiritual lexicon. Now, along the way, I want to pause for just a moment at the traditional meaning of that word. It's absence. It's absence in the Gospels. And we'll talk about the way that all religions are not just one iteration of the same thing. We'll consider the possibility that the power of grace isn't to us, it's through us. And somewhere in there, we'll get to the question you've all been asking yourself, which is, why in the world are we talking about Dolly Parton this morning? If you looked at your order of service, that song, Light of a Clear Blue Morning, is one of her 3,000 songs, which is an awful lot to pack in 20-ish minutes. So what is grace? In its most commonly used form, if you go to almost any other church, a non-Unitarian Universalist congregation of some sort or another, The simple idea is this: you were born a sinner. You will never be able to make yourself right with God, and so God gave you the unmerited gift of forgiveness for all the ways that you fall short and will fall short of being good enough for Him, and so His grace is there to save you from the punishment that you deserve for what you have done and what you will do. Boo! Right? Right? And here's another question for you all, right? What if you don't believe in God, or at least that God? What if you don't believe in original sin? Right? What then? Now, often in these Unitarian Universalist spaces, we run right up to, and often over the line, between the kinship of all faiths and a kind of false universalism that says that all religions are basically just the same thing in different clothing. There's a difference between focusing on what we share and the erasure of the very real differences, the real theological differences between us. I guarantee you, you go to almost any other congregation in this country, you are not going to get a boo to original sin. Okay? And nowhere, I think, does that set of differences, that way in which we are not all part of one church universal, show up than in the idea of original sin itself. It is easy in a culturally Christian environment like we share to believe that everyone holds to this bad theology. But the simple truth of the matter is that plenty of other people don't believe it either. The Jews do not have a theology of original sin. The Muslims don't have a theology of original sin. The Buddhists certainly don't believe in original sin. And, shocking, right? Neither do we. As Unitarian Universalists, we know that people will do bad things, right? We know that there is evil in the world. We know to pay enough attention, to read or watch or listen to the news, that there are people who hurt other people. We know that. We also know that each and every one of us will mess up in our days and need to atone for the harms that we've caused, and we know that too. So while we don't believe that the newborn babe is already, in the very moment of coming into the world, so badly broken that the only thing that will save them is divine intercession of some great and glorious God who can save them from their stain upon their heart, we do know that we all mess up. I do. You do. You might have done it this morning before you even got here. Which is part of why this idea about grace is just so hard for us to fathom, because it is so traditional, it is so tied up in the idea of a fundamental brokenness instead of a temporary mistake, a shortcoming of your day. The ways that we are all trying our best, and sometimes making it and sometimes not. That idea of grace is tied up in the ways that there are people who believe that we are separated from the holy by insurmountable things for which we need to be forgiven. But if you don't believe those things, it can be hard to see why we talk about grace at all. And if you were particularly biblically literate, and I know I talk to the people in our congregations with some regularity who identify themselves as the hidden Christians among us, you might take comfort in knowing that while the words that we translate as grace are prevalent in the Bible, it is only mentioned twice in the Gospels, never, not once by Jesus in his lifetime. Paul said it a lot, but Paul never met Jesus. And Jesus taught a lot of things, but he never taught grace. Now, for many of us, it would be enough to just do away with the word entirely. I know I did, right? But like I said, I went to seminary, and just like we do here at my seminary, we use words. Now, this congregation is a little different than the congregation I serve. We have some words that we say every time we light the chalice, the same words every single time. At First Universalist, we use a set of words to do that. At Star King School for the Ministry, we did. At Star King School for the Ministry, every time we gathered together and we lit our chalice, we said, with the kindling of this flame, we reaffirm our commitment to accept life's gifts with grace and gratitude, and to use them to bless the world in the spirit of love. And those words, much like the words of the reading this morning, were written by the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker. She is a scholar and a pastor, now retired, written a lot, co-authored a book, 15, 20 years ago called Saving Paradise. She wanted to look back and answer this question that had troubled her for a very long time. She also was a person for whom the Christian tradition held an important place and role in her heart as a Unitarian Universalist. But there was a question she had that had bothered her for a very long time, and she set out to find an answer. It only took 600 pages. Her question was, in almost every piece of religious art for the last millennia, Jesus is shown on the cross. But in a fact known well to art historians, but almost no one else, the first millennia, after he lived and taught and died, he was not shown upon the cross. He was shown in the presence of a place that was obviously marked as paradise. As paradise. In the here and now. It was an interesting question. When and why and how did the life of a teacher who said that there is grace in this world, that there is paradise available to us in the here and now, come to be so tied up in so much bad theology? In her book, she suggested that grace might hold more meaning for us if we added a modifier to it. She said, ethical grace. Grace not from God, but from us. Grace in life and through us. She said, love and generosity in community, care for all that we need, the healing of the sick, appreciation for life, confrontation of the powers of injustice and exploitation, and more, form the heart of ethical grace. An idea of grace not as forgiveness, but as blessing. As blessing. Unasked for and uncreated, unmerited even, but present all around us, and on which we can model our lives and our actions, and in so doing, choose to bless the world. Now, Parker's theology is decidedly Unitarian Christianity. And that way of thinking about grace is available even still, I think, to all of us, regardless of what we believe about the holy. It offers a way to connect across faith traditions where we agree, even if we don't actually agree about everything. She put it a little differently in the book elsewhere. She said, ethical grace is the full-bodied life in the present, attuned to what is beautiful and good and responsive to the legacies of injustice of our current term. Which brings us back to Dolly Parton. You knew she was coming. Now, there is a song by Dolly Parton that I suspect almost every person in this room knows, even if you don't know that it's a Dolly Parton song. That song was recorded later by Whitney Houston for the film The Bodyguard. It became the best-selling single by a female artist of all time. I Will Always Love You. I see your heads nodding. You know this song. But it was written by Dolly. And it was written as a goodbye song. And I think that the life and legacy of Dolly Parton and all that she has done offers an opening into grace, for me at least, and perhaps for you. If we are to approach grace not as forgiveness for something we didn't do or weren't present for, if we're approaching grace as not a message of our fundamental unacceptability, but a reminder instead that even those of us born with the gift of original blessings will mess up from time to time, it's good to have some models to draw upon. When we find ourselves wondering if we can ever forgive ourselves or each other, whether we can bring our attention to what is beautiful and good and responsive to the harms that have hurt us, the separation between us, the ways we can choose when the time is right to move on and build and bless something new. Now, in this day and age, I sort of work on the assumption that almost everyone in this room knows who Dolly Parton is. But I am willing to bet and guess that far fewer of you have any idea who Porter Wagoner was. We've got a few. Now, without him, we wouldn't have the Dolly we have. We might not have her at all. As a young woman, Dolly moved from that cabin in the mountains, that cabin with no running water or electricity. She moved across the state to Nashville to be a singer, a performer. And she was selected in that time by this man who was the most prominent name in all of country music, Porter Wagoner. He invited Dolly in 1967 to be part of his show, the Porter Wagoner Show. It ran for 20 years, and they traveled and performed together for 7 of them. By 1974, however, Dolly knew that whatever they had done, and they had done a lot, that the calling on her life was bigger than just being the lady singer on Porter Wagoner's show, while he stood in the center and called the shots. And it was time for her to go out on her own. And so in one night, she managed to write 2 of the most iconic songs in country music history, I Will Always Love You, and the most memorable of any song ever written about the other woman, Jolene. And she went into Porter's office the next morning and she told him to sit down, and she sang that goodbye song to him, letting him know that while her love was unending, their professional relationship was not. To be clear, of course, Dolly's marriage to local asphalt contractor Carl Dean, her husband of 60-plus years, who passed away just last year, was as strong as ever and never in question. But that song, I Will Always Love You, was about the end of a professional relationship in all of its most complex glory. She put into that song what she was feeling and what she knew was true, because it was the only way she knew that Porter could hear her. And he did. And he said he would let her go from the show if she would let him produce the song. She left his office that day, and on her way home, she wrote another song, Light of a Clear Blue Morning, celebrating the change in her life. Now, that would have been a lovely ending, right? Just a nice, tidy package. Came to town, got an opportunity, lived it out, saw it come to an end, wrote a great song, went on to be the best-selling single of all time. Wouldn't that be lovely? But, like so many of us, including me from time to time, and I suspect most of you from time to time, an ego got in the way. In this case, it was Porter's ego. Dolly's career took off. Dolly's career took off, and when I mean it took off, she was on the leading edge of a career that is so long that her Wikipedia page actually points to an index page of all of the other work that she's done because they can't fit it in one. She went on to have untold chart success. She became richer than her childhood on that mountain cabin stuffed with siblings would have ever predicted. But Porter's career, it stalled out. And so, he sued her. He sued her for $1 million based on the contract she had signed when she was a young 20-year-old just trying to get started in the world. When she just had joined his show. It was money she didn't have. She wouldn't have it for years to come. Porter disparaged Dolly in the media. He said he wouldn't trust her as far as he could throw her. He accused her of living in a fairyland. It was so ugly that even though Dolly and Porter had never been in a romantic relationship, the other musicians around the city described that breakup as a classic hillbilly divorce, where no one wanted to take sides. Ugly didn't begin to describe it. But here's the thing, right? We get mad at each other. We do things that we are not doing out of our best selves. And rarely does that lead to things getting better for us. They didn't get better for Porter. Suing Dolly didn't put him higher on the charts or open up new venues. No, his show faded and faded until it was canceled. He came face to face with a series of bad investments. The IRS came after him for $500,000 that he didn't have and couldn't get. His life had fallen apart, and if Dolly was like the rest of us, she might have just as easily seen it as a comeuppance and laughed her way to the bank after all he had done to her. But Dolly isn't like the rest of us. In an interview some years ago, telling the story of that part of her life, she said about Porter, he did fall on hard times. And he needed the money. And then she said, and at that time, I had money. Porter had started writing after I was writing a lot. And Porter had never written before, but he started writing and he wrote some really good songs too. But she said he was having some hard times. And I thought a good way for me to do that was to just buy the publishing company. So I did. I bought it. And then I just gave it back to him because I wanted his kids to have it. I didn't want it. She bought his songs, the songs he had sold to pay his tax debt, and then she handed them right back to him, no strings attached. That was my gift, she said, one of my gifts for thanking him too, because, she said, I never knew. How do you ever know how to thank somebody or what you owe somebody? Because who knows, had it not been for Porter, I might not be sitting right here in this chair right now. Because I'd like to believe I would have made it. Because I felt bad that I had to go, but I knew I had to go when I was stifled. And by that time, if I had stayed forever, I might have missed my chance. God was telling me to go, she said. That spirit of mine was saying, go, you've got to go, you've got to go. And at that time, she said, it was not like putting flowers on me. It was the least I could do. I felt like it was all right. That was me, to me, the thing to do. And I was glad to do it, and it made me feel better about everything else. The interviewer who was speaking with her that particular day, who had been listening to her tell the whole story, leaned in that moment, leaned in, and he said to her, I have this theory that one of the reasons that you can have this crazy, broad appeal that you have into so many different communities that normally hate each other is because of those acts of forgiveness. Does that vibe with you? To which she replied with the kind of grace I hope to hold my own someday. Yeah, she said. Forgiveness? Forgiveness is all there is. Now, 25 years later, Porter Wagner was on his deathbed. The last day of his life, and who was there wetting his lips but Dolly Parton? This is the message this morning. You might not believe in God. I'm almost 100% sure you don't believe in original sin. But if you've lived in this life at all, you've shouted, you've sworn, you've been less than your best self, and you've been on the receiving end of the same. And when the time is right, and it's not always right, you too can be the vessel of grace that comes not just to you, but through you. You can ask yourself, what would Dolly do?
Would you rise in body and or spirit and join us in singing our last hymn of the day, We Give Thanks. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for the old and young, for a time of wonder, joy and fun, for all we give as we grow and live. Oh, we give thanks for the young and old. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Would you join us in singing our closing affirmation? Behind all our differences and beneath our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one, binds us forever together throughout all time, through life and death and the space between the stars, throughout all time, through life and death and the space between the stars.
Let us extinguish this chalice with the words we say at my congregation every Sunday. With the extinguishing of this flame, No, that is not the words we say. We say, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we take with us until we are together again. May you go into the week, whether you have $1 million to buy out someone's music catalog or $1 to give to someone in need. May you go and be blessed and be a blessing.